Let's bring in now Senator Patty Murray, the Assistant Democratic Leader from Washington State. Senator, thank you for being back on the show. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you.
Let's start there. Majority Leader Schumer, you heard, says it's not a question of if, but when this final vote will happen, suggesting maybe super late tonight. Do you have any hot scoops on the timeline here? What do you think?
I don't know, but his message directly was to senators who want to leave. You can do it at 10 o'clock tonight, or you can do it now. So come to the floor.
As we talk about Senator Schumer, he, of course, is nominating you for Senate President Pro Tem. You will make history as the first woman to hold that position. You're also leaving your current job as an Assistant Democratic Leader. Can you reflect for us for a moment on what it means for you to step into this role, of course, in the presidential line of succession, and any thoughts on who should replace you on the leadership side?
Well, it is really an honor for me to be in this position come January, to really both have the opportunity to work as President Pro Tem, but also to show women of this country that if you work hard, that you can really achieve a place where you can make a real difference. Nancy Pelosi certainly has done that, and I'm honored to fill this position to be able to do that as well for women and to send a direct message to the country. Women's rights are going to be protected under our watch.
That's something that you have been, I know, vocal about. Do you have any thoughts on who you'd like to see take over your leadership role?
I have not been in that discussion. Senator Schumer's talking to a number of senators, and I'm sure he'll outline a path forward fairly soon.
I asked because you referenced, of course, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, and I think everybody was glued to the televisions today to see what her future plans would be. We now know she will not run for re-election for leadership. Steny Hoyer also says he's going to step down from his leadership post. We're already seeing Hoyer and Whip Jim Clyburn back Hakeem Jeffries. Overall, do you think Democrats do better with a new generation of leadership or with experienced veterans?
Yeah, no. Both. You need both. You need people who have been through some battles and have seen how to get through them in a good way. You also need the new energy that really is in Democratic politics across the country. I had the opportunity to campaign with many new energetic leaders. I'm excited about what they will bring us. And what I see across the board is Democrats who are working to make sure our families have what they need today, whether it's child care, whether it's access to higher education, whether it's lowering costs of prescription drugs, and above and beyond, making sure that we fight for our democracy and fight for women's reproductive rights.
Let me ask you about working next term in a divided Congress, as NBC News has now joined other news organizations. Obviously, the official projection now that Republicans will have power in the House. House Republicans will likely use some of these funding bills to try to extract concessions on stuff like border money, on things like defunding the IRS with these 87,000 new employees. You will likely be the Senate Appropriations Chair. Do you think there's room to negotiate with House Republicans on some of these conservative asks, or do you think that this is the time for Democrats to draw a hard line here?
I think it is really important that we stand up and fight for the priorities of this country and make sure we have those investments, and we don't use threats of a government shutdown to get priorities that are not priorities of the American people. I've seen this far too often. It never works out for Republicans when they try to demand that we repeal ACA or some other thing like women's reproductive health, or they'll shut down government. It never works out for them. I would advise them to work with us. We always can negotiate numbers within the appropriations bills and some of our priorities, but do not use government funding as a place where you threaten everybody's way of life across this country. It won't work out for you.
Senator Patty Murray, thank you very much for being on the show. I know it's been a big and important week for you personally and professionally as well. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Next up.